Well, hello, and I'm going to say it's really nice to be back after an extended break. But what are we back to have a look at today? This. Just a couple of weeks ago I received Final Girl Series 1. So we'll get this out, we'll get it on the table, and we will work out how to play the game. Whenever I back a game on Kickstarter and I look at the optional extras, I don't usually get playmats, although obviously I've got the Solomon Came on here, which I got it mainly because of the size. It's a good mat to use to cover a large amount of table for any other games I've got which don't have a mat. But when I get a game and I see that there's a playmat that actually has markings on it to help you set up the game quicker and to play the game quicker, that's when I'm particularly interested in getting the playmats. So this is one of the mats. This mat actually goes up at the top of the table, and as I normally do, I will endeavour to show you, as we're playing the game, which parts of the mats are getting used and which ones are not. So this one goes at the top. Let's just move it up, and then let's have a look at the other one. And here is the other mat, which has got the rest of the items that we need to be concerned about on it. Got your tracker, positions for all of your actions, etc. So, just get those lined up nicely. There we go. Okay, well, as with all games, it's always the setup which is the first part of the learning curve. So, I'll get all the bits out of the box and then I'll come back and we'll set up the game. Another thing I'd like to just point out, I think I did this when we were talking about Bloodborne, but they've really tried hard with this game to actually give you decent storage solution, and I must say I'm really impressed with it. I think they've left enough space for maybe future add-ons, extra bits. You can change it around a bit if you prefer it a certain way, but there's certainly plenty of space to store everything that you need to store. And the same goes for the horror film boxes, where they've done a really good job. Plenty of storage space. I've got the miniatures, although I've not bothered putting them in here yet. I think I'm probably going to spray those up and paint them. But really, really excellent that they've gone to the trouble of giving you plenty of storage. And I know in the season 2 they're saying there's going to be some vehicle miniatures as well to go with each of the locations. So again, having that extra bit of space that they've set aside will be really useful for that. Anyway, so the first thing we need to do is we need to find the Final Girl cards, as you can see here, and we need to pick which Final Girl we're going to play this particular scenario with. Now, I've decided to just go with Laurie, partly because she seems to be the Final Girl that they intended to use with this particular feature film, as they call it, Hans the Butcher. So I thought, why not? Let's go with her. Okay. You also need to choose your killer and location, and as you've probably guessed, because I've shown the box a few times, we're going to be going with Hans the Butcher at Camp Happy Trails. So you take your box, you simply take these items off. Now if you haven't got the playmats, that's absolutely fine. You're just going to put them up here. Now, because I have got the playmats, it's sort of easy just to put them exactly where it says to. And again, we're going to need Hans Butcher. Put that up there. There we go. So there you go. So you can see they're in position. And these don't work completely brilliantly. There's little markings on here, but I tend to just ignore those. You've got plenty of space to put the cards where they need to go. Okay, right. So that's the first part of the setup. We've chosen our Final Girl. We've chosen our location and our killer. Now on to putting out all of the various tokens. So this is one of the mats. This mat actually goes up at the top of the table, and as I normally do, I will endeavour to show you, as we're playing the game, which parts of the mats are getting used and which ones are not. So this one goes at the top. Let's just move it up, and then let's have a look at the other one. And here is the other mat, which has got the rest of the items that we need to be concerned about on it. Got your tracker, positions for all of your actions, etc. So just get those lined up nicely. There we go. Okay, well, as with all games, it's always the setup which is the first part of the learning curve. So I'll get all the bits out of the box and then I'll come back and we'll set up the game. Another thing I'd like to just point out, I think I did this when we were talking about Bloodborne, but they've really tried hard with this game to actually give you decent storage solution, and I must say I'm really impressed with it. I think they've left enough space for maybe future add-ons, extra bits. You can change it around a bit if you prefer it a certain way, but there's certainly plenty of space to store everything that you need to store. And the same goes for the horror film boxes, where they've done a really good job. Plenty of storage space. I've got the miniatures, although I've not bothered putting them in here yet. I think I'm probably going to spray those up and paint them. But really, really excellent that they've gone to the trouble of giving you plenty of storage. And I know in the season 2 they're saying there's going to be some vehicle miniatures as well to go with each of the locations. So again, having that extra bit of space that they've set aside will be really useful for that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the final guild cards, as you can see here, and we need to pick which final guild we're going to play this particular scenario with. Now, I've decided to just go with Laurie, partly because she seems to be the final girl that they intended to use with this particular feature film, as they call it, Hans the Butcher. So I thought, why not? Let's go with her. You also need to choose your killer and location, and as you've probably guessed, because I've shown the box a few times, we're going to be going with Hans the Butcher at Camp Happy Trails. So you take your box, you simply take these items off. Now, if you haven't got the playmats, that's absolutely fine. You're just going to put them up here. Now, because I have got the playmats, it's sort of easy just to put them exactly where it says to. And again, we're going to need Hans the Butcher. Put that up there. There we go. So there you go. So you can see they're in position, and these don't work completely brilliantly. There's little markings on here, but I tend to just ignore those. You've got plenty of space to put the cards where they need to go. Okay, right, so that's the first part of the setup. We've chosen our final guild, we've chosen our location and our killer. Next, you would take these and you would set these out over probably to the right of the location map. This is where you can use a token on the map if you have multiple victims. You keep track of them by putting them on these boards and just using this token to identify where on the map they are. With the playmats, you don't need to put those out because it's got dedicated spaces already indicated on the playmat. So we won't need those, but normal game you'd set those out. I'll tell you what I might do after I've played this using the playmats. I might do another different scenario and do it without the playmats just to show how that works. When you are using your final girl, I told you already we're going to use Laurie, you need to start with on this side. This is for keeping track of the victims that you managed to save. And we won't flip over to this side until we have completed saving all the victims that we need to on here. So if we get 6 victims, then we'll flip it over. But for now, we need to start with it on that side, and we put that down underneath the horror tracker and the time tracker down here. We'll just put that there, and we'll carry on. Okay, got the dice out, just put them there. And what you have to do now is you have to take your action cards. This is the first part where, I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it's probably the first part where the instructions and that you can get slightly confused. Effectively, you take all the action cards with this gold 0 symbol, and this is your starting hand. So you take those, there should be 6, 4, 5, 6. So there we go, there's our 6 starting hand action cards. And we'll just put those out of the way for now, over to the side. And then what we have are action cards of various different costs. Now, some of them you'll have more than one of, but some of them you won't. So these are 1 cost. So I'm just going to start putting these out. Can't see what I'm doing, can you? There we go. So I'm just starting with the ones there. Then I'm going to move to the ones which are of value 2. And I'm going to put 2 guard cards next to it. And then I'm going to carry on. These are the sprint cards for 2. search cards for 2. Each of them gets their own little place, so it's easy to find them. Distraction, now we come back up here, that's a 3. Planning is a 4, there's only one of those. Furious Strike is a 4, only one of those. Retaliate is a 4, only one, and there's only one of the Long Rest. And the final card, the Critical Blow. And as you probably guessed, these values tell you how much you're going to have to spend if you wish to get some of these actions in your hand to use. But you know that the 0 action cards you're always going to have available, because obviously it doesn't cost you anything to get those and put them back in your hand. Next, we take the killer, and you get the cards out of the killer box, and you're going to take the killer's finale cards, they call them. But basically they're easy to identify because they're the ones that have the killer's upper body printed on the back of them. So it says we're just going to mix those up. It's only 3, so there's not really a huge amount of shuffling we can do. And we're going to pick one at random. We're going to put the other 2 back in the killer box out of the way. And the one that we've selected, we are going to place up next to the killer. We put it actually on the board like so. You see? So it lines up, and this is the key bit of information that we get, is that bit there. That tells us what the killer is going to do. Okay, so that's what we do with the finale cards. Then we get the killer's dark power cards, I think they're called, which are effectively the ones with the lower body. It says shuffle them, really don't need to shuffle them. I'm just going to pick one at random. I have no idea which is which, but just so everybody knows that. Yeah, let's take that one. There we go. And we put that one up. Again, we just put it up here on the picture. So there we go. All done. Easy. Right, and then we put those cards back in the killer box, the ones that we haven't used. Now we take the terror cards. Now the terror cards, in case you ever get these mixed up or whatever, they always have a little icon down in the bottom right that makes it very easy to know which set they're from. So these ones, as you can see with the little tent, are from the location, the camp. And then these ones, which have the sort of pig picture, are from Hans the Butcher. So if you ever, if you've got 2 killers or whatever and you end up getting the cards mixed by mistake, don't panic, just look at the little icon. It tells us what we need to do is mix these cards together. So I will give them a good shuffle and then we will return. Okay, I've given them a good mix, and it says we deal out 10 and put them to the right of the board. Now on this player mat there's a dedicated space for them up here, so we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put those up in the terror deck space. There we go, and again, rest of the cards go off out of the way. Don't need them right now. Next job is to take the item cards from the location, and again, just in case you ever get them mixed up, it's got the helpful little symbol. So we're going to take these, we're going to give them a good shuffle, and then when we're done we will deal them out. I'll come back after I've shuffled them. Okay, they're well shuffled, and what we're going to do now is deal out 3 piles of 4 face down cards. Now there's a space to do that up at the top of the board there. I will move everything over so that we can see that easier. So we want 4 in each pile. 1, there we go. Any of the cards you haven't used, go back out of the way in the location box. We don't need those. And then we turn over the top card on each location. So, I wish I had better fingernails. There we go. Or any fingernails. Right. There we go. Right, so we have our items, and underneath here it tells us where we need to go. Cabins, dock, utility shed. So it gives us a little bit of a head start there in terms of if we want to head towards a particular place to get that item, we know where we need to go. You could play the game, of course, by not turning over the top card of each pile, and then you wouldn't have any clue what was going to be waiting for you. Just adds a slight bit of extra difficulty. but I'm just following the basic rules here. Okay, so what do we look at next? Now we need the location setup cards. These are the green ones, easy to spot with the big word setup on. And again, we just want to mix these up, and then we're going to pick one. Just take the one on the top, discard the others, take a look at the card, and this tells us how we need to set up for the start this location board. So just move this in so we can see the location board more clearly. There we go. Each number on here quite simply is a reference to the number of victims in that space, which of course we use the yellow meeples for. 1 up here in the top, 2 on make out point, which makes sense because you can't really make out if you're on your own. At least I don't think you can. We want 1 over here in the utility shed. We're going to have 1 here, 1 here, 1 on the dock, 1 there, and 1 at the fire pit. And then these are pretty obvious. We have the starting location for the final girl and the starting location for the killer. So we're going to place the killer and place our final girl. Okay. So there you go, there's the card, and there's the setup. Right, I'm going to discard that setup card now, we don't need that any longer. Now as we turn over to the setup for the killer Hans and the final girl Laurie, we need to take the final health tokens. I'll put them here where you can see them. Well, not the easiest to see, I'll tell you what, let me put them there. Now these all have to go down on the board with the +1 on the top, +1 on the dice sitting at the top like so. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of them. Now you need to mix them around so that you don't know what you're going to get. Okay, so I've mixed those around. And then you take one and you place it at the bottom of the health tracker for the killer. You take the other and put it at the bottom for the survivor. And the rest of them you have to carefully pick up without seeing what's on the bottom and put them back in the box, out of sight. Whoa, oh that's good, none of them flipped over, that's lucky. So we just put those away, we're not going to need those. And we don't want to know what's on the bottom, so we just carefully put them away. Okay, that's that part done. So I just realised that there's actually a little circular space here to put that token, but it really doesn't matter. Now we need to put out our health for Laurie and for Hans. So for Laurie, she's got a health of 5, which you can see on top left of her card. The final health token that we just put down, that actually counts as one of those, so we only need to put 4 hearts on here to represent the rest of her 5 health. And Hans, as you'll be able to see on the killer board up here, has health of 12. So we need to put those all 6, 8, 10, 11. Okay, so there should be 11 here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Excellent. So Hans has got his, Laurie has got hers, and we can carry on with the last bits of the setup. Place the bloodlust marker, which is just this red circle. We're going to place that at the bottom of the killer board. We're going to take our little timer marker and we're going to place that on this timer board, put it at the position 6. You can see it's got it's coloured blue on here, but basically it goes at position 6. And if you're not using the playmat, just to be clear, you do get this board, so it does show you all of this stuff as well. You know, you've got the blue marker here, etc. It's all the same. So don't worry, it's not really any different. We now need to place a second killer meeple. You're probably wondering why you had two of these. We need to place the second one of these on the circular horror track. This is the track here. And we're going to place it, where do we start it? I always forget. Up here on the killer board, let me come a bit closer. You have the health, and above the health, next to the kind of mask symbol, it has the number 4. That tells us the starting position for our horror board. So we put the other killer meeple on number 4. And now that is all set. So obviously different killers may start at different horror levels. Now the last thing we need here is the event cards. These small blue ones. We need to give those a good shuffle. And we're going to be placing those, where do we put them? Place them face down next to the location board. Ah yeah, so okay, so on the playmat there's a nice position for them up here, and then obviously you've got your different events as they happen. So we're going to put our event deck in place, and the interesting thing now is in the actual manual here where it tells you about the setup, as it says here, when you've actually finished and you've placed all the event cards, the first thing you will do is draw the top card and follow the instructions on that card. Whatever it says to do, that's what we're going to do. Death Wish. I gotta get a better look, even if it kills me. During the upkeep phase, move the victim closest to the killer 1 space towards it. Do not count victims currently in the same space as the killer. Okay, so we're going to put that in that position there. We need to keep track of those. Now you know me, I sometimes struggle to remember to keep track of stuff, especially when I'm playing games for the first couple of times or first few times. But we will obviously have to try and remember those because they're the events that we need to play out as part of the scenario. And it's time to start playing the game. So this is where we need to really focus on this board. We have to decide what we want to do. Do we want to search first? Do we want to try and rescue some of the victims? There's an awful lot of victims on the board at the moment. Now, the only way you can rescue victims is you move into their space and they will then follow you. They won't follow you into the killer's space, but they will follow you anywhere else you go. So you have to get them to follow you and bring them back to one of the exit spaces marked with the little door, the green symbol. There's 2 of them on this particular location. Oh, there's 3 of them on this location. Sorry, there's one up here in the top right corner as well. In fact, this is where the setup cards are useful. You can see it's got this sort of green shading here. So we've got 3 locations where we could try and get the victims to safety. And we also have the choice of making our way to the cabins. Now, if we go to the cabins, we get the lucky dice. My daddy had a pair of these, said they brought him luck. Maybe they'll do the same for me. So we can discard this card to re-roll any or all of your dice. That gives you kind of a one-time re-roll. That's kind of useful, limited in terms of how many times. Or we could go to the dock and we could get the whistle. Stupid campers. Got to get their attention somehow, even if it is risky. So you can spend one of your time to use the whistle once per action phase. When used, all victims adjacent to you will move to your space. Then all enemies, this symbol here means focusing on the final kill, will move 1 space. Will move as far as they're allowed to move based on their bloodlust, but certainly with the bloodlust down at the bottom it would be 1 space. As long as you have the whistle, 1 additional victim will follow you. Okay, so that one might be useful. Depends on your strategy. If you want to save lots of victims, that one, obviously, a useful one. We've got the lucky rabbit's foot. I'm not the superstitious sort, but I'll take all the help I can get. You can discard this during the action phase to make a horror roll. For each success, choose one of the following. So you can move a space, remove a horror, gain a health, or gain 2 time. Again, very useful, 1-time use, but very useful. Okay, I think my plan will be to try and save some of these victims. Now the only way to get to these victims, oh yes, this is not great yet. The only way to get to save these victims is to actually come all the way around the map to here and then come on and get them and bring them back. But these individuals, I feel like I could swing round here if we were able to get some good movement. So we could try and get an immediate sort of 2 saved. Potentially, if we finish here, we can search the fire pit. That would be good. Let's take a look at the actions that we've got that we can use. Well, short rest we're not going to need at the moment. That's something you use when you need to recover health. Okay, so we're not going to need that. Walk. Okay, that one's definitely of interest to us. We want to be able to move. We've got another walk. Focus. I think, again, we're not going to need focus right now, I don't think. And weak attack. So that's all we've got. The best we can do is to walk. So I think that's what we will focus on, is the walking. So let's take a look at one of these cards and see what we've got to do. Well, you've got your description, and then you've got your what you need in terms of successes to be able to move. Now, how do we know how many dice to roll? That's easy. We look at our horror tracker. We see that the killer is in this zone, which says we've got 2 dice. So basically 2 horror dice, that's all we can roll. So we're going to come back here. I'm going to say, right, let's give it a shake and let's see what we can do. So, oops, we can obviously try not to knock everything over. What did we get? Well, we got 1 full success and 1 partial success. Now, the full success is easy. We could just say, right, we'll just use that 1 success, which uses this line. We'll move 1 space, decrease our time marker by 1, done, end of this card, carry on with our next action. Or we can take this, which is a partial success, and we can discard action cards. Now, let me just remind myself how many we have to discard. You may discard 2 action cards from your hand to convert it into a success. Well, I'm actually quite happy to do that. So I just take out the focus and the, in fact, weak attack. I'm not in a position to be doing any attacking, so I'll get rid of the weak attack and the short rest. So you put those face down. Doesn't matter where you put them, but just face down out of the way somewhere. And we can walk now because we've converted our partial into 2 successes. We can move 2 spaces. So let's move our 2 spaces. We move 1 to here, and then we move 2 to here, and the victim will follow us. In this mode where it's just you with no special items, etc., up to 2 victims will follow you. You choose which 2 you want, and you don't have to take them with you, but obviously what I'm trying to do here, I want to take them with me. I think I'm going to try and head to the dock, see if I can get hold of the whistle, and that might help me save some extra victims, which would be great. So we've moved our 2 spaces. There's nothing more that we can do right now. What we have to look at now is, can we search? Nope, we can't search. It's useful to keep hold of some of these cards for your next go. One of the rules that you need to remember is that when you play an action card, whatever it is, it goes face down. They have a space for it on the playmat here. Put your action cards that you've played here, put them there. It goes face down. You then finish your action phase, and you are not allowed to repurchase those used cards in this next phase where you choose the cards you want for the next go. You basically have to choose the cards you want for the next go, put them in your hand, and only then do you take these cards and distribute them back. So effectively, if you've used it that go, you won't be able to use it the next go. The soonest you'll be able to use a card again is the go after that. The other thing we need to remember to do, because we did a walk action, is that we need to move our time down by 1. Okay? So we've done that. That will be the end of our action phase. The next is the planning phase, and this is really important. This is where you choose what you want to purchase from these cards. I want to search the fire pit because I'm right there. So I'm going to spend 2 of these points, which brings us down to 3. So I have the search, and that goes in my hand with the cards that I didn't use last time. Okay, the 2 focus cards, the walk and the search. I still have 3 points left. As you can see over here, I still have 3 time left, which is what we used to purchase. I'm going to take a sprint card because I want to try and take these victims and get them out as quickly as possible. That will cost me another 2, brings me down to 1. With only 1 left, there's a limited amount I can do. What I'm going to have to do is, I think we'll use it to purchase this close call. You should always purchase what you can, because once you finish purchasing your items, the timer will always go back to 6 to start the next go. You don't get to keep any of the unused time at the end of this planning phase. So play after any horror roll to either re-roll any 1 die or re-roll all die, but you'd also have to lose 2 time if you do that. Just check that our hand hasn't got bigger than 10 cards, which of course it hasn't, but you just need to remember to keep an eye on that. That is the end of the planning phase. We're going to reset the time to 6 over here so that we don't forget. We've bought all the cards we can. Now we can return cards we used last go, which are all 0 cost cards, so we'll put them all in the 0 cost section, but those are now available next time we get to the planning phase. Now that we've done that, it's the killer's phase. Let's have a look at our killer's action up here. He will target either the final girl or a victim, whoever's closest, and will attack them, but he doesn't move. There's no symbol for moving, so what that means is, you see he's here in the lake. There's no victims there with him. So the first thing we need to check, we've checked, he isn't going to attack anybody because there's nobody with him. Now we have to go over to the terror deck, turn over the top card and see what it says. Dark Feast. For every victim that is dead, Hans recovers 1 health. Well, good time to get that card because there's no victims dead. It's not going to do him any good at all, and we can, I guess, discard this this terror card. It says active terror card, so we'll just put it there. It's not doing anything though now, so we can move on to the next part, which is the panic phase. If a victim was killed this turn, panic all the victims that are in the killer space. Nobody killed, nobody in his space, nothing to do. And then finally we get the upkeep phase. If there's no terror cards left, obviously we've still got 9, we would flip over the finale card, which if you remember is the one with the picture of the upper body of the killer. And we can rearrange any items. Well, don't have any items to rearrange, so nothing we can do there. So that's effectively, we've gone through 1 full cycle of the game. And fairly straightforward. I have to say, this game, once you've got it set up, fairly straightforward to play through. So we come back to us and it's our action turn again. Sorry, I thought I'd better check just before anybody wonders. This Dark Feast card, one thing I did forget is this is not just a pretty symbol for the card. I kind of ignored it. This actually means we must increase the horror by 1. So horror is going to increase by 1. What does that mean? It means we're going to move this meeple up to the 5 position, but that's it. There's nothing else needs to be done. Excellent. Right, back to the action phase. Okay, so we got our meeples with us, and now we want to try and get them to safety. We're going to use our sprint card. I'm going to throw a couple of dice, try not to knock everything all over the place. And we get 2 partials. Now, if we get 1 success, we can move 2 spaces. If we get 2 successes, we can move 3 spaces. Both are going to cost us a time. The only way we can make that into more successes is to discard cards and to potentially, do you know what, let's use our close call card. Play after any horror roll to re-roll any dice. I don't want to lose 2 times, so we won't re-roll all the dice, we'll just re-roll 1. So we'll take this one and we'll re-roll it and see what we get. And we get a success. Well, that's good. Oh, jeez, my big finger's knocking everything all over the place. There we go. So we have to discard, we've used it. We've got 1 success, we can take our 1 success. How many spaces do we need? 1, 2, 3. If we can get 3, we can get 2 people to safety. So I'm going to discard 2 cards with this partial success in order to actually move all the way to safety. I have to remember to lose 1 from the time counter. Oh, can't see that, so I'm going to move that down 1. And I need to discard 2 cards, and I'm going to discard these 2 focus cards. So they're all gone, which gives us the 2 successes that we need to move 3 spaces, and we will move with our victims 1, 2, 3. We're on an exit zone, which means that we can exit these 2 survivors, and now we have to choose what we want to put them on. If we put them on this, we reduce the horror by 1. Put them on this, we can increase time by 2. Another one to increase time by 2. Can take an action card without having to pay for it, which is nice, or move 1 space. I think we'll put 1 on here to reduce the horror by 1, and we'll put 1 on here to get 2 extra times so that we can get a few more action cards ready for the next go. So all we do is we take our meeples and we put them on there, so reduce horror by 1, and we put it on there. This helps us keep track of what we've done. Increase the time by 2, 6, 7, there we go. And now we're back to deciding where we want to go next. The dock has got the whistle. I do like the idea of the whistle. I feel like these victims up here are fairly safe at the moment. It's quite a long way for the killer to go. These ones are in quite risky. In fact, he can move to either of these zones and take care of one of these victims. So I think we're going to make our way around this way and try and save as many of these as we can. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to need to walk. We're going to roll our 2 dice, and hopefully we're going to get 2 successes. And we got nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it says if we get nothing, we can still move 1 space if we lose a health and lose 2 time, or we can choose to just lose the 2 time and get nothing. I'm going to lose the health, so I'll take 1 of my health away. I'm going to lose the health. Obviously going to have to move the time tracker down 2, down to 5. But at least we can move 1 space to start back. Okay, that is the end of the action phase. Now we move into the planning phase. So we've got 5 points to spend. Let's see, what should we get? I think another sprint for 2 is always a good idea. Move that down to 3. Let's see, what else can we get? Oh, this is quite good. Improvise. Until this action phase ends, all 3s and 4s are successes. Wow. So if you get a good score on this one, it can change the whole round. Do we want to get that? What else could we get? We could get distraction. I think we will take the improvise for 3. 1, 2, 3. No more points left. So that's the end of our planning phase. Well, sorry, we can take all of the cards that are 0 cost as well. So we take all of those. Okay. End of the planning phase. Now we take these cards that we used last go and we put them into their correct positions. We've got a sprint. We've got a close call. So we put all of those back where they're supposed to go. We put this back up to the 6th position. Now it's the killer phase. As you remember from last time, the killer won't move, but he will kill anybody in his space. There's nobody in his space, so nothing's going to happen there, which means we now move over to the terror card. Minor dark power, unholy speed. Hans moves 1 additional space for each movement icon. Also, we have to add 2 health to this. So what we do is, we take this minor card and it goes up here. Put it there. We put the 2 health on. And when we do damage to Hans, before we actually take anything off his main health tracker, we have to remove them from here. When we remove 2, then that card will disappear. But until we get rid of that, he's always going to move basically one extra move. So we just have to remember that as well. Okay, so that is the end of the killer's go. Panic phase, nobody's been killed, so nothing to worry about. And then the upkeep phase, we've still got terror cards left. We have no items to rearrange, so effectively we're all good. We're back to the main game, back to our action phase. Let's have a look. So clearly sprinting would be excellent. If we could sprint, we could go 1, 2, 3. We could actually make it to the dock. We could then search when we got to the dock. Yes, there's a lot of things we could do. I want to try this first, because if we can get this, it could really help us get the sprint and help us get there. And if we're lucky enough to get this top one, we could do really well this go. So we really need a bit of luck here. So come on, let's be lucky. What have we got? 2 partials. Oh dear. The only time we have an issue is if we get no successes at all. So I'm definitely going to convert at least one of these into a success. And I think, let's see, how many cards have we got that we can discard? We'd need 4 if we wanted to convert them all. I really want the sprint, because that would get us there. I really want the search, so that we can actually search once we're there. I don't really want the short rest or the weak attack. I could probably do with keeping the walk. This is a tricky one. I think what we're going to have to do is discard these 2 cards to convert one of these to a success. So we'll have 1 success and 1 success. If we just go back to the improvised card, what does that mean? For the next horror roll only, all 3s and 4s are successes. So, you know, we get the benefit just once, but that would be enough to get us to the dock, assuming we get this correct. So here we go. Come on, sprint. Let's get 2 successes. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. We got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Ah, man, I am definitely the worst at this. If I choose to move, I can move 1 space, lose a health, lose 2 time, and then it's the end of the go. That symbol there means you can't do any more actions. That would be the end of the turn. Or I can just lose 1 health and 2 time, but at least I can carry on. So that's what we'll do. We'll lose another health. We'll lose 2 time, so we're down to 4. We won't move because obviously we don't want to end our go, but at least now we can try and walk. I'm going to get rid of these 2 dice. I feel they're so unlucky, I don't want to use them anymore. Let's try these 2. In fact, let's try these 2. Right, here we go. Come on, let's get some luck. Okay. Is it great? No. Is it bad? No, it's fine. We can move 1 space and lose 1 time. Time goes down to 3. I move 1 space in the direction we need to go. That's my walk card gone. I've only got the search card left. It's no use to me at all there, so I just keep it in the hand. That is the end of our go. That was a very poor go. Planning phase. Really not a lot we can do here because we've only got 3. We can pick up all of the 0 cost cards, so we get those back. Let's get a sprint and a close call. Okay. That's it. Nothing more we can spend because that adds up to 3. So we put that back to the blue. We put these cards, 0 cards back on there. Sprint, 3, 0, 0. There we go. Killer phase. Nothing's going to happen still for the killer. We need to get a new terror card. He just keeps coming. The killer will move towards the closest victim or you know, final girl, whichever. Oh, sorry, I always forget this. This symbol means we need to increase horror by 1. So the horror over here goes back up to 5. and the killer will now move towards the final kill or victim, whichever's closest. He'll move 1, but because of his minor power he'll actually move 2, but he won't need to move 2, and then he will get an attack. So we have to choose which way he's going to move. What I normally do in a situation like this where there's an equal distance is just randomise it. So 1 to 3 he'll go north, 4 to 6 he'll go south. So we'll roll a dice, we get a 5, so he'll go south. He then attacks that victim, and that victim is dead. And we can put the victim in... Where's the dead victims pile? Ah, here it is, over here, sorry. There we go, so dead victim. Every time the killer dispatches somebody, we have to remember to increase the bloodlust counter by 1 for each victim killed. So moving that one up to 1 hasn't actually done anything. If you look over, let me bring you a bit closer. If you look at this board here, it's gone up to 1. He still moves 1, he still does 2 damage, no increase to horror. So that wasn't too painful. We'll take that. Okay, that's the end of the killer turn. Now the panic phase. Right, so the killer has killed a victim, but as we can see on the location board, there are no victims in the space with him. So there is no panic to deal with, don't have to worry about that. And then the upkeep phase, we still have terror cards left, so we don't need to flip over the finale card. And we have no items to rearrange. So that's it, we're all done. What are we going to do? Let's try this focus, see how we do with that. Doesn't look too bad. Okay. What have we got? We've got a partial and a nothing. I'm going to use the close call card to re-roll this one. Still get nothing. I am really starting to feel like these dice hate me. Okay, so that card is gone. It didn't help us at all. We got no successes at all. I could try to convert this into a success, but I'd have to lose 2 cards to do it. So we're just gonna take the pain of losing 2 time. That was extremely useless. I'm not very pleased about that at all. Let's use our sprint instead. Come on, dice. In fact, I'm going to roll 1 at a time. Maybe that's the problem. Here we go. Let's try again. We really only need 1 success. And there we have it, 1 success. And I can roll that one. Oh, there's a partial, but all I needed was 1 success. We moved 2 spaces, put the time down by 1. Time goes from 4 to 3, and we can move our 2 spaces, 1, 2, and now we're at the dock. I've just moved right into the space with the killer, of course. I wasn't really thinking, I was still thinking about my initial game plan. Do you know what? Let's risk it. I'm having such bad luck with the dice, I'm not having a good feeling for this game anyway, so I'm going to play a little bit braver maybe than normal on the basis that I think I'm probably going to die anyway. Let's search. We need to roll 2 dice. I'm going to roll 1 at a time because that seemed to make me feel slightly luckier. So we've got a partial and a nothing. I'm just going to take the horror and the 2 to the time. Take the horror, 2 to the time, 2 brings us down to 1. Failed search, what a waste of time that was. And I might as well try and exit the space that the killer is in by rolling again. So I get a partial and I get a success. Hooray! And I also knock all these pieces all over the place. This is why it's a good idea to have the cards in place. They remind you where everything was. There's 2 here. I see what's happened. I knocked those before, right? There's 2 there. Okay, I got 1 success. I can move up to 1 space. I am going to move here. Okay, That is the end of my turn. I've got one card left, the focus card, and I'm really not going to do anything with that. Oh, did I remember to put the timer down? Oh, no I didn't. Okay, that goes to 0, so I'm not going to be able to buy any cards next go. That's the end of my turn. I come down here and I haven't got enough time left to buy anything, so all I can do is take the 0 cost cards, which I will do, add them to my hand. That's it, that's the end of what I can purchase. Now I put these items back, 0 card, search, sprint, where's the focus go, that's the 0 and the close call, there we go. That's all my cards dealt with. Then it becomes the killer's turn. We know the killer's action, I'm not going to go back and show, but we know that he doesn't move, he just attacks whatever's in his space. There's nothing in his space, so we turn over a terror card. That girl, what's her name? She can help us. Place 2 new victims in the space where you started the game. Okay, so come up to the map. 2 new victims in the space where we started the game. We started, and this is again where the setup card's important. You can see we started over here. So that is exactly where I've put the 2 new victims. Then we need to move the horror up 1. That's not good news for us because the horror moving up 1 means we only get to roll 1 dice. That's a real pain. And then it says an event card. And let's go. Oh, okay. Do you remember what I said at the beginning about not forgetting stuff? I think I forgot this event card. Let's just remind ourselves. During the upkeep phase, move the victim closest to the killer 1 space towards it. Do not count victims currently in the same space as the killer. Right, okay, we have really messed this up. We probably would have lost at least 2 more victims at this point. Okay, I think what we'll have to do, I can't go back in time. I could restart the whole game, but I don't really want to do that. So let's be realistic here. We would have lost this guy definitely. So we'll put him in the dead. We'll move the bloodlust up by another 1. Now, moving the bloodlust up by another 1 puts this here into there, which means we get another bloodlust because we can't go any further that way on the horror tracker. Really all I'm trying to do here is simulate what probably would have happened. Let's see, he was here, this one would have moved, this one would have moved. How many goes have we had? We're just on the 3rd go now. So, okay, so I think, you know, he's got the 2 victims he would have got anyway. And now we need to activate this event. So the nearest victim, which will be 1, 2, will be this one. We'll move 1 towards. And we need to turn over a new event card because of that terror card we just had. Clingy campers. What's that? If you grip my arm any tighter, you're going to pull it right off. There is no penalty for the first victim you save during the action phase. For each additional victim saved, lose a health. Oh, great. Okay, that's a bit rubbish. We have to put that here. And these events, they stay in place, I think, for the whole rest of the game, which is extremely... extremely frustrating. So that event is going to stay in place for the rest of the game. That's not good. Let's come back now and carry on. What should we do first? I think we could really do with... sorry, I forgot to put the timer back to 6. There we go. We could really do with losing some horror, but the way the dice are going for me, I'm not really sure we can do anything sensible. I think we'll just try and walk, just try and get some space between us. So here we go. Let's roll 1 dice. We get a partial and a partial. In order to do anything useful, I'm going to have to discard 2 cards. I'm going to discard my weak attack and my focus. I need to take 1 off the time because that's how much it costs to do the walk. So that gives us 1 success, which means that we can walk how far with 1 success? 1 space. So we will walk 1 space and the victim will come with us. There we go. Yeah, let's do this short rest. Why not? I hate these dice. I'm going to have to get some other dice because I just don't trust these. They don't seem to land on successes often at all. There you go. No successes. Well, with the short rest with no successes, we get 1 health back. Okay, I'll take that. We have to increase the horror by 1. If you remember, our horror can't go any higher, so that means we have to put bloodlust up here, up by 1, which increases horror by 1, which we can't do, so we have to put this up by another 1, and at that point we turn over the killer's dark power. Dark obsession. Whenever Hans attacks you at least once, he attacks an additional time, so he gets an extra attack each time he attacks us. Lovely. Well, that's nice. What else does it say that we do here? We lose another time, and we have to stop our go here. Well, that's convenient because I've got no more action cards anyway. What's it say? Oh, there's some flavour text here. I apologise, I hadn't noticed these. I'm out of breath and these wounds hurt like hell. I've got to take a break, even if it Wait, what am I saying? Okay, that's long enough. So it is a short rest. Okay. Right, well, it's not going very well for me so far, mainly because I can't seem to throw dice. We need to come back down here to the planning phase. Now, we have got a 4 to spend. I just turn... What I like to do, by the way, is I take the ones we've used, put them in a pile, I turn them over to make sure I don't accidentally pick them up during this part of the game. And we need to choose what we're going to get. We can spend 4. First of all, we take our 0 cost cards, of course. I could get 1 retaliate card and just assume that the killer's going to maybe catch up and attack me. Or I could get a guard card. Yeah, why don't I get a guard card and a sprint card for 2? Okay. That'll use up, if you think about our time tracker. Let's bring this back up again. That'll use up all of the remaining time we have left. That's the end of the planning. We can't buy any more cards. So now we put that back to 6, ready for the next go. We take these, all the 0 cards go back on the 0 action card space. They're all 0s, there we go. And the killer gets his phase. There's nobody in the space, so he's not going to do anything there. We need to turn over a terror card. Taking souvenirs. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next terror card. Otherwise, he'll move towards the nearest victim. He'll move twice, and as we know with his unholy speed, he gets an extra move for each one of these. So he actually gets 4 moves. And then he gets 2 attacks. For each victim killed during the killer phase, we get a +1 on the bloodlust. Now, if we look over here, we can see that his current distance, this is his distance, you see there the boot symbol. So on this bloodlust level, he actually moves 2 spaces for each move anyway. He gets 4 moves in total, so there's absolutely no question that he reaches us. And there he is. Now what's interesting is that this says target closest victim, not final girl. So as I understand the rules correctly, he will stop in this space and he will attack twice. But there is only 1 victim. He won't attack me. I will just double check the rules here just to see if that's definitely the case or not. Okay, so I've just had a quick look in the rule book, and it actually stresses here that the final girl is not a victim. So this is target the closest victim, and as far as I'm concerned, the final girl doesn't count because she is not a victim. Okay, he's in that space, he's going to attack, he's going to kill this victim, absolutely. That's going to push his bloodlust up again. That doesn't do anything else this time, it isn't increasing the horror or anything else this time. That will be the end of the killer's turn. Panic, there's nobody in his zone to panic. Upkeep phase. Upkeep. During the upkeep phase, move the victim closest to the killer 1 space towards it. Do not count victims currently in the same space. Well, not going to forget this time, so there is a victim here. 1 space brings it into the same zone as the killer. My go. Let's sprint. So we're going to throw these, come on dice. I got a success. I don't believe it. Got a success. So we can move 2 spaces and lose 1 time. So we move the timer down by 1 and we can move 2 spaces. So we'll take ourselves and the victim and we'll move 1, 2 to the utility shed where we will gather with these 2 victims. I don't have a search card and I'm so unlucky that I don't think I'm actually going to even bother trying to stay and search. I think what I'm going to do is try and rescue some more victims. And I only need to move, how far do I need to move? 1, 2, 3. Oh, blimey. I have to move 3 spaces to be able to do that. Well, got my walk card here. Let's see if we can get anything. Come on, walk. We've got a partial and a partial. I'm tempted to not move because obviously it feels safer to be 2 spaces away from the killer, but the distance the killer can move now means that we're not safe at all. Can easily get us. I don't want to spend any of my cards on these rubbish dice. So our choice, whatever happens, we're going to lose 2 times. So I'll move the timer down from 5 to 3. And all I have to do is choose if I want to move 1 space and lose the health or just stay where we are. I'm just going to stay where we are. This guy can catch us whatever happens, so there's really no point me losing 1 health just to move 1 space towards him. So that will be the end of my action phase. I'm not doing anything else. I'll turn those cards over, like I said before. Let's have a look at our options. We've got 3 on the clock that we can spend. I can get a search card and I can get a close call. That brings it to 3. I can pick up the rest of these items. I can pick these up. That's it. Nothing more I can spend. I spent the 3. So we'll put the timer thing back onto the 6 space. We will turn over these cards. 0 goes on there and the 2 goes on sprint. Nobody in Hans' space, so we need to turn over a terror card. He just keeps coming. Horror goes up by 1. Can't go up by 1 because it's at the end of the track, which means bloodlust goes up by 1. Bloodlust going up by 1 means the horror goes up by 1, which it can't do, so bloodlust goes up by 1 again. So the bloodlust is really racing up the board. What else happens? He's going to move towards whoever's closest, me or a victim, and he's going to attack once. Well, as I've already said, his movement now that his bloodlust is at is 2 spaces for each move. So he's there, no problem at all. Now then, is he going to attack me or is he going to attack a victim? Again, I'm going to say 50-50 between me or the victims. I could do 1/3, but in fact I will do. 1 to 2 is me, 3 to 6 is a victim. Here we go. And it is a 4. So he's going to kill that victim. His bloodlust is going to go up once more, which this is kind of crazy. Pushes his horror. Horror can't go any higher, goes up again. He now does 5 damage with each attack. Wow, this is really not looking good for me at all. What else do I need to check here? Let me just make sure. Clingy campers doesn't change. During the upkeep phase, move victim furthest away 1 space towards the killer. So, upkeep phase. Oh no, I got to do the panic phase. There is, right, panic phase. If a victim was killed this turn, panic all victims in the killer's space. So we roll a dice, and on 3 to 6, it might be hard for you to see, but on the board, let me just point that down. If you look carefully at the board, you see these little numbers coming out of each zone. And the zone they're in has 3 to 6, which means if we roll the dice for a panic and we get 3 to 6, the victim will panic and move this direction. If we get 1 or 2, because there isn't another exit and there's nothing on the board that says 1 or 2, the victim will actually just stay where they are. And you'll see that all of them, so on this space here, for example, we've got a 5, a 1 to 4 and a 6. So when you roll, victim's definitely going to move in some direction. And, 5 this way, 6 this way, anything else that way. So fairly straightforward. We just need to roll the dice to see which way our victim is going to panic. And it's a 6, so it's going to move to here. That was the panic phase. And now we need to do the upkeep phase. And this is where it's kind of silly. The Death Wish event that we had will move the victim closest to the killer 1 space towards it. So the victim will just move straight back into the space with the killer. Okay. I go. First of all, I think we will do a search. Where's search gone? There it is. We will have a go. Take the top 2 item cards. If we get that, we take 1. And if it goes completely wrong, then we are stuffed. Well, that's not too bad. We got a success. Now we are at the... We're not at the cabins, we're not at the dock, so we're at the utility shed, which means we can get the lucky rabbit's foot. I can just take the 1 and get the lucky rabbit's foot. I could convert a couple of other cards. Do you know what? I'm going to convert. Well, hang on, what does it do? If we take 2 successes, take the top 2 item cards at your space and choose 1. Place the other on the top face up or underneath face down. No, I don't think that's worth it. Let's just take the rabbit's foot. We've finally got an item. Lucky rabbit's foot. Discard during the action phase to make a horror roll. For each success, choose 1 of the following. Oh geez, I've made another mistake. Okay, well this is the beauty of watching me play this game for the first time. I've read the manual, but when you're actually playing it, there's always so much to remember the first few times you go through a game. What have I done wrong? Let me tell you what I've done wrong. The horror tracker is here. Only 1 dice. It means I can only roll 1 dice. So I think I've rolled, 2 dice several times. Again, guys, everybody watching, as I say, learning as we go along here. I've made a mistake. I think we can quite rightly say that this game is probably not a good example of a brilliant game at all, but at least we're learning as we go. So had the mistake with the event card first time round, tried to rectify it by sort of correcting and taking off the extra meeple. Not really sure how I would correct this other than watching the video back, trying to go back in time and refilm it. Not going to do that. Let's just keep going. The more we play it, the more we're going to get the rules embedded, and hopefully the next game we'll actually go through and I won't forget some of these things. So I'll tell you what we can do. We can put the lucky rabbit's foot back. We can reset ourselves and just go, right, we're in this space, we're going to do the search, let's see what happens. The best I can get is 1. I don't get 1, I get a partial. I'm going to use the close call card to re-roll that 1, and I get a success. 1 success means we lose 1 on the time, and I get to take the item on the top, which is what I'm going to do. So there we go. What's next? I could really do with reducing the horror a bit so that I can actually use two dice. So I'm going to try focus. Come on. I get nothing. So I lose 2 time. We're down to 3. I'm going to try focus again. Do you know what? Why not? And I get a success. Awesome. Which means we lose another time. We're down to 2. But we get to move. Let me show you. We get to move this back to the 6th position. Which means I can actually roll 2 dice. That's excellent. So I have to discard that focus card. Now that we've got 2 dice back in play, what should we do next? Let's do... This is a reactive card, by the way, the blue one. So if we get attacked, we can use this to try and defend. What should we do? What should we do? There's very little I can do here. I can walk, which will save the life of that victim if we successfully get out of this space. So here we go. Let's see. 2 partials. I will get rid of these 2 cards, weak attack and short rest, to convert one of these to a success. One of those a success allows us to move 1 space, so at least we might give that meeple a chance to survive. It's probably not going to help too much, but gives it a chance. So got rid of quite a lot of cards there, really didn't achieve much at all. That is the end of our action phase. Planning phase, how many points we got left? 2. Okay, well, I take the 1 0 card that's in the pile, which is the walk, and I've got 2 left. Really not sure what I'm going to do with 2. Maybe just take a sprint, give it a go. Yeah. Okay, that's all my points spent. I put it back up to the 6. Now I take all of the used action cards, get all the 0 ones. They're going to go back in the 0 cost pile. Search goes in the search pile. Close call in the close call pile. There we go. Killer phase. No meeples in the killer zone, so nothing is going to happen there, which means we turn over a terror card. Hans wants me. He's always wanted me. He's going to target the final girl, he's going to move, and he's going to attack once. Okay. Don't need to check all of his movement. I mean, he can move 3 spaces with a single move now, but he's still got his minor dark power, which means he gets an extra move, so he basically have 3 moves. I mean, we're only 1 space away. It's all irrelevant. There we go. He's in that space. He's going to attack me. Now, the only time you can defend against an attack from the killer is if you have a card that you can retaliate with. If you have no card to try and protect with, the killer would just do the damage indicated on the bloodlust tracker. And as you can see, it's at 5 damage. So it would effectively... it could potentially kill me. It would certainly activate, you know, the last health point. We'd have to turn that over and see what it says. But we have got a guard card. And this is a blue reactive card. So the only time you can use this is when you are attacked. 5 damage coming in from the killer. We need to shake both dice. We get nothing. Okay, that's the worst possible roll you could get. Reduce the damage by 1, so it becomes a 4. And that's all we get with that guard card. So he does 4 damage. Now, here we go. 1, 2, 3, all gone. We turn this over. We get 3 health back. Now, because we've turned over this black card, we now need to put this one on, the white one, and 3 health goes back like so. 1, 2, 3. So we're still alive. Panic phase, nobody got killed this turn, so nobody's going to panic. Upkeep phase, reveal finale card if no terror cards are left. We still have terror card. And rearrange items. Really, there's nothing I need to rearrange. It's my action turn. I have just 2 cards, a walk and a sprint, and we're just going to try and make our way to that exit zone and save another victim. That's pretty much all I can think of at this point. So let's start by rolling our dice for the sprint. In fact, no, not for the sprint, sorry. We'll start with the walk, because if you get the sprint complete fail, you can actually end your turn. So let's start with the walk, and we get 1 success. So we move one space and put the time down by 1. Time down by 1. And let's move one space. I'm going to move this way. That's 1. Now we've got sprint. And I only actually want to move. In fact, I'm not going to use the sprint card. Let's see what my lucky rabbit's foot. Discard during the action phase to make a horror roll. For each success, choose one of the following. Okay. Make a horror roll. Okay, 2 dice for a horror roll. We got 1 success. That's good enough for me. I'll move 1 space, thank you. I will take that. And then we discard that card that's now out of this game. But I will move 1 space and rescue that victim. I'm going to put that victim on my card. Remember the card over here. And I'm going to put it on this to increase time by 2. So time's going to go up to 7. And now I've got 1 card left, which is the sprint card. We might as well give it a go. Let's give it a go. Hopefully we get something good. We get a partial, so no use at all. I can move 1 space, take the damage, 2, and end the turn, or I can just take the damage and take 2. Well, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Same damage, same time penalty. I've got no more cards left, so it's the end of my turn, whatever. So we put this down by 2, goes to 5. We take 1 damage, and we get to move 1 space, and I'm going to move this way. Okay, planning phase. Now we get all of our 0 cost cards back first of all. We'll get a sprint for 2, that takes it from 5 down to 3. Got 3 left, so I can't get any of those. All I can get is distraction, improvise, search, guard. Right, let's take a guard, try and protect ourselves if we catch up. That's 2, that takes us down to 1, and we'll take a close call. That takes us to 0. Right, that's the end of planning. Move that back to the 6. Put these cards back where they need to go. Sprint, guard, and 0 cost card. Okay, not easy. Not easy at all. I think if you get a lot of good throws on the dice, you could be having a great time, but I certainly haven't been doing that. And nothing, nobody died there, nothing yet. Okay. That was the, sorry, that's the planning phase. It's the killer's phase, isn't it? I was about to miss a turn for the killer, right. Killer is nobody in his zone, so he's not going to do anything. We need to turn over a terror card. He's just standing there. Oh no, 2 horror. So, 2 horror puts us back to here, which means we're on 1 dice. I'm going to move it right out of the way so I don't forget. And then 1 more, which we can't do, which means that the bloodlust counter has to go up again. Hands recovers, discard the next. Hands recovers all health and discard the next terror card. So we do that immediately. We just discard it. And then I guess this just comes back, this little arrow here going up and down just goes up and back, so he stays there. And that's the horror taken care of. Now we need to move Hans. He's going to move 4 times. I mean, his distance is 3 now, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's going to move towards me because 1, 2, 3 gets him to the same space as me, whereas 1, no, that gets him there as well, 3. Let's do a roll. 1 to 3 comes to me, 4 to 6 it goes to the victims. Is a 6. Okay, goes to the victims. But he doesn't actually attack. If you remember the card, he's just standing there. He just stands there. Okay, interesting. So that is the end of the killer's turn. Nobody to panic because nobody's been killed. Still got a terror card left, so we don't display the finale card. And there's no items for me to rearrange. So, back to the action phase for me. First things first, let's try and get some more of these guys to safety. Let's start with a sprint. Oh no, hang on. No. I need something. It's going to reduce the horror. Is that focus? Here we go. 1 dice. Let's try and reduce this horror. A partial. If I get rid of 2, I get rid of 1 close call and get rid of another focus. That's 2. Turns that into a success. -1 horror puts it back to 6. I get 2 dice. Moves the time down to 5. There's my other dice back. Excellent. Right, now I will try and sprint. Well, it only ever seems to happen to me, but there you go. Another 2 blank ones. I'm going to lose a health. I lose 2 time. We're down to 3. And that's it. I don't get to move because if I choose the option to move, that'll be the end of my turn. So I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to try and walk. Man. Oh, there you go. I don't know. I think that might be the first time I got 2 successes, but I'll take it. We still need to move the timer down by 1, which puts us at 2. And I get to move 2 spaces up on the board. So I'll move 1, and then I'll pick up that victim and move 2. So now I'm in here with all 3 victims. There's nothing else I can do other than take a short rest. I'm going to take a short rest because I've got 1 health left. So... okay, well, I still get 1 health back. I have to increase the horror, so I'm back to 1 dice. And I lose 1 more time, so it's down to 1. And it ends my turn. So, planning phase, I've got 1 point to spend. I will get this 0 cost card, and I'll take the close call, and that's it. That's all I can do. Put the timer back to 6. Put the other cards back. Killer's turn. The killer will attack. Oh, hang on. I need to be careful here. I moved, etc. Did we move anybody closer to him? We didn't. One of these meeples would have moved closer to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2... hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. This one would have moved this way 1 at the end of the last go before my next turn, but I was in there, so would have followed me here anyway. Is that right? No, that's not right. I was here, so this one would have moved there. Okay. Okay. Oh, blimey. I keep messing this up. Never mind. Okay, let's just do that. I'll move there. And I keep forgetting these event cards. That's the one thing I would say is watch out for these event cards. There's 2 things I've forgotten. I've forgotten the dice situation, but I think I'm okay now. If you just remember to only keep the right number of dice on the table, you're okay. But these blooming event cards, I keep forgetting them. So that's just bad. I moved, blah, blah, blah. Killer's turn. Killer is going to kill one of these. Bloodlust is going to go up. And it's going to discard the next terror card. So that was the last terror card. That's gone. When there's no terror cards and it's time to do, we turn over the finale card. Let's have a look at the finale card. Draw a 2nd dark power card when this is revealed. And you see what it does? It changes this now. So before... it was final kill or victim attack, but no movement. Now it's final kill or victim, move twice and attack. So he's going to start going around the board, clearing up everybody that's still there. We also need to draw a 2nd dark power card. Dark powers are the ones which are the bottom of his body, the legs. So draw one of those at random. Feed. For every victim that Hans kills, he recovers 1 health. Okay, what else happens? He's killed a victim. So we need to do the panic roll for this this victim in the same space. On a 3 to a 6, the victim is going to run there. 3, so the victim runs there. Then it's the upkeep phase, and during the upkeep phase, this is where the victim closest to the killer but not in the same space will move. So close straight back, going to get wiped out next go. That is everything. Have we done the panic phase? Yep. We've done the upkeep phase. Yep. Okay, it's back to our go. I am still quite keen to just rescue more victims. So I'm going to use walk. I only get 1 dice. I get nothing. However, I have got close call. I re-roll that 1 dice. You get a partial. I'm just going to discard both of these. I don't think Hans is going to come for me this go because he'll get to this victim before he gets to me. So I'll just discard both of those to make it into a success. Walking into this exit zone. If you remember clingy campers, right, I'm remembering my event cards this time. If you remember clingy clampers, there's no penalty for the first victim you save during the action phase, but for any others, I lose the health. I am just going to save 1 then this go, because I don't want to lose any more health. So 1 of them is saved. I'm going to put that one, what shall I put it on? I have a few options here. I could get an extra health. I can take an action card. I'm going to take an action card because it doesn't look like I'm ever going to have enough time to be able to actually get a card myself. So I'm going to take the retaliate card. I don't think I'll ever be able to afford it the way things are going. And what else have I forgotten to do? I did a walk, didn't I? So I need to move the timer down by 1. So there we go. Timer's down by 1. That's it. I can't do anything else. So turn my cards over. Killer's phase. Well, killer's going to move to the nearest victim and then attack. So another death for Hans. Well done. And there's no points for him to recover. No more terror cards. So his blood list is at maximum. That's not going to change. And that's it. I think that's it. That's the killer's go. No panic to do. Upkeep. During the upkeep phase, move the victim closest to the killer 1 space towards. That will be this victim at the far side here. We'll go 1 space. And that brings us to my go. Oh no, I did something very stupid. I didn't pick up any cards after I'd done my walk, did I? Right, let's just put the victim back. There we go. Victim's back. Bloodless set. Right, no real change. Okay, I did my walk. I finished. I got my retaliate. Couldn't do anything else. I pick up all the 0 cards. Then I have 5 to spend, and I will buy. I think I will buy a guard for 2, a sprint for 2, and a close call. That's 5. Right, that's the end of that. Then I put the 0 cards back. Guard, walk, and a close call. Okay, that's good. Then I put the timer thing back to 6 because I've used everything I can. Then it's Hans's turn, and Hans is, no more terror cards, blah, blah, blah. Kills the victim, like we said. He's already at the top of the bloodlust thing. He's got no health to recover. There's no, there we go. Everything's back on track. Then it comes back to me. Oh, we've already moved the meeple 1 thing closer, so that's good. Okay. Well, first things I'll do is save a victim, because the first one is free. So I'll save this victim, and I will get... I've got 2 choices now. I'll get an extra health, I think. There we go. 1 extra health back. There we go. And now let's see what we want to do. Really, we want to attack Hans, but we've got no decent weapon or anything to do any damage. So let's see if we've got anything that will. There we go. Focus. Our good friend focus. We need to get that horror down. Hey, we get a success. That means that the Our attack goes to 6, that comes down 1, and we get an extra dice back. Great. Okay, focus in the played area, done. Well, I feel adventurous now, so let's do focus again. See if we can do anything else good. Right, okay, well let's see. We've got 2 partials. Have I got, let's see, 2 cards that I want to get rid of. Let's get rid of short rest, that's 1. Let's get rid of close call. There you go, that's 2. Changes that into a success. So I will reduce the horror by another 1. And I will turn the timer down by 1. Goes to 4. What's next then, now that I've done that? Now I will guard and retaliate are no use for anything right now. They're reactive cards. Sprint or walk? Well, let's try a walk first, why not? No successes. So 2 time down, that brings it down to 2. And let's try a sprint. Got a success. Terrific. Move the timer down by 1, that goes down to 1, and I can move up to 2 spaces. So I will move 1, 2. I'm going to head on over to, where am I going to head on over to? Don't know really, maybe the utility shed again, search that, I don't know. We're going to move around. Going to search something, going to try and find a weapon. Got to be a weapon somewhere. Right, can't do any more actions, nothing else I can do there. So, turn those over so I don't get them confused with the other cards. Bring this down so you guys can see the available options. Pick up all of the 0 cost cards, just 2 of them. And I've got 1 point to spend. There's only 1 card you can buy with 1 point. Close call. That's it. Put the timer back to 6. And then I just need to put these back. Ready for the next go. Sprint, walk, focus, close call, short rest, and focus. There we go. All back where they should be. Killer's turn. He is going to move, and he's going to get to move 4 times up to 3 spaces with each move. So he's going to move to the closest. That's 1, 2, 3. And then he's going to attack, which means he is going to kill that victim. Dead victim, bloodlust, nothing's going to happen, no terror cards do, no health to restore, so there's nothing really that's going to happen there. Let me just make sure nothing else, yeah, no, nothing else is going to happen. That's the end of it. There are no victims to panic, so that's nice. I wonder if there's any special rule about that, if there's no victims on the board. No, there's nothing special happens when there's no victims left on the board. I think he's basically just going to hunt us down now, so that's it. Upkeep phase, nothing else to do. I am going to try a, let's walk. Okay, I should be getting used to it by now, getting absolutely rubbish. I am going to discard these 2 cards so that I can get my walk action, just 1 success, which means I can walk 1 space to here. And I need to take the timer down by 1 to 5. Okay, so that's that. And I'm going to keep these 2 cards because they are retaliation cards. So that's the end of my go. I need to do my planning phase. I've got 5 to spend. So first of all, I pick up all the cards of 0 value. And I can spend 5. What am I going to get with my 5? I am going to get a Furious Strike. There we go, that's a cost of 4. What does it say here at the bottom? Bitch. Who are you calling bitch? You want a bitch? I'll show you a bitch. Oh, there you go. And that leaves us 1 to spend, and as I've said before, the only card you can buy with the 1 is a close call, so we might as well take it. Now that we've taken that, we'll put the other cards we used last time, the walk, the close call, and the weak attack, put those back in the respective piles. We set the timer back to 6, and it is the killer's turn. The killer is now going to move towards me, and he gets 1 additional. Hans moves 1 additional space for each move symbol. So Each move at the moment gives him 3. He gets 2 moves, that's 6, and he gets another 2, 7, 8. Can he reach me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, of course he can. There we go. And he's going to attack. His attack will do 5 damage if he is able to land that attack. I have my retaliation cards. Here we go. Let us roll. Let's do this. I got 1 success. Reduce the attack by 2. So instead of 5, it will be 3. And do 1 damage. 1 whole damage. Right. So what does that mean? Oh, 1 of the damage comes off this. And I get reduced by 3 instead of 5. 1, 2. I am dead. And to be honest, I think I deserve to die in this game because I've made a few mistakes with the events and other stuff, which means if I'd won, I would have felt like I cheated, although I did try to rectify them as best I could. But honestly, these dice rolls, wow. I am very tempted to try some different dice. Don't think I've ever been as unlucky in my life rolling the dice. I mean, certainly the partials come up regularly. There's a success. Isn't it just typical when you start rolling it and you don't need them? Okay, so maybe the dice aren't faulty, maybe I'm just extremely unlucky. Cool, anyway, I hope that that's helpful. As I say, I'm trying to show you as I learn the mistakes I'm making, obviously a few. Let's just let's recap. What sort of things did I forget? I forgot when the horror tracker had got to here, it went to 1 dice, I forgot. Easy way to remember that is instead of leaving the dice here, which is what I was doing, just take the 1 completely away, so I only have however many dice I'm allowed to shake on the board. So that one's quite easy, I think, to remember. The event cards, I think the problem here is because they're actually quite far away. These playmats are great for helping you lay everything out, but they're quite far away, and I think without them right in front of me, I've just kind of forgotten about them. So I might switch this all around. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is the board that we really want to have in front of us the most. So I might switch these playmats around, bring this closer. I mean, these, the action cards, yes, you have to select them every turn, you have to use them every go. But if I switch these playmats around, they'll actually be just here. Big text, easy to read. Yeah, I think I might try that next time. Well, obviously you don't watch my videos to see somebody who's great at playing games, because that would be a mistake. But hopefully you watch these videos and you learn from my mistakes and it helps us to get better. First game, first time through, I don't feel too bad. Sad that I lost. Having said that, some terrible dice rolls, and I did manage to save a few victims. So how do we save? 2, 4, 5. Managed to save 5 victims. Not quite as good as Hans here. Definitely managed to take out a lot. So there you go. That's Final Girl. I will film another one when I get the next chance and put that up. And hopefully when I film the next one, I'll have played a couple more games just on my own, just to hammer the rules home and be a bit smoother when I come back with another filming. I hope you're all well, take care, and see you again soon.